The town of Fairview, Montana, was the kind of place where people still left their doors unlocked. Nothing ever happened there, until the morning of October 12, 2019, when 34-year-old Ethan Carter disappeared without a trace. Ethan was a meticulous man. A former software engineer turned reclusive writer, he lived alone in a modest cabin at the edge of town. When he missed his usual Sunday breakfast with his sister, Claire, she assumed he was just caught up in his latest novel. But when he didn't answer his phone all day, Claire decided to drive over. What she found inside Ethan's home sent chills down her spine. Ethan's cabin was undisturbed except for one thing. On his writing desk, perfectly centered, was a single sheet of paper. Typed in bold, black letters were the words, "I planned the perfect crime, but I made one mistake." Nothing else. No sign of a struggle. No forced entry. Ethan's truck was still parked outside, keys in the ignition. His wallet, phone, and laptop remained untouched. But Ethan himself? Gone. Claire immediately called the police. Detective Mark Renshaw, a 20-year veteran of the force, arrived within the hour. What troubled him most was the absolute lack of evidence. There was no blood, no signs of a struggle, no footprints leading away from the house, Renshaw later said. It was like he vanished into thin air. But there was something odd about the note. After examining Ethan's computer, detectives found no draft of the message on any of his files. It hadn't been typed on his laptop. So where did it come from? Forensic analysis revealed it was typed on a 1970s Smith Corona typewriter, a model Ethan didn't own. 2 days into the investigation, a local librarian came forward with a strange detail. On the night of October 11th, she saw Ethan at the Fairview Public Library just before closing. He was in the archives looking through old newspaper articles. When asked what he was researching, Ethan reportedly gave her a cryptic smile and said, "Just looking into the past. Some things never really disappear." Then he left. Detectives searched the library and found out that the only articles Ethan had accessed were from October 1975, the year of an unsolved murder. The case from 1975 involved a man named Gregory Whitman, who had vanished under eerily similar circumstances. Whitman, a 35-year-old novelist, had also lived alone in a cabin on the outskirts of town. One morning, he was reported missing. His cabin was untouched, and left behind on his desk was a single sheet of paper, typed on a Smith Corona typewriter. The note read, "I planned the perfect crime, but I made one mistake." The exact same words Ethan left behind. Detectives were stunned. The cases were identical, separated by 44 years. The Smith Corona typewriter used in 1975 was never recovered. Gregory Whitman was never found. And now, decades later, Ethan Carter had followed the exact same fate. It was as if history was repeating itself. Then, a new witness came forward. A gas station attendant on the highway outside Fairview reported seeing Ethan on the night of his disappearance. Ethan was not alone. He was seen sitting in the passenger seat of a black sedan, driven by an unidentified man. Ethan's expression? Blank. Almost entranced. I asked if he was okay, but he just kind of stared past me, the attendant said, like he wasn't really there. Surveillance footage confirmed Ethan was in the car. But the driver's face was obscured, as if the footage had been deliberately glitched. Then came the chilling part. 1 week later, another note appeared. This time, it was found taped to the front door of the police station. Typed on the same Smith Corona, it read, "The mistake wasn't mine. It was yours. No fingerprints. No evidence of who left it." Detectives made a breakthrough when they traced the last landline call made from Ethan's cabin. It had been placed to a disconnected number, one that once belonged to Gregory Whitman's old residence. How did Ethan call a number that hadn't been in service for decades? And why had a neighbor reported hearing the faint sound of a typewriter coming from Ethan's cabin the night he disappeared? Was Ethan investigating Gregory Whitman's disappearance? Had he uncovered something he wasn't supposed to? Or had he somehow followed the exact same fate? To this day, Ethan Carter has never been found. The identity of the man in the black sedan remains unknown. And the typewriter? It has never been recovered. Some believe Ethan uncovered a secret hidden for decades, one that cost him his life. Others think he orchestrated his own disappearance, staging it to match the 1975 case. But the final note suggests otherwise. Someone else is out there. Someone who knew both men. Someone who isn't finished. And in the quiet town of Fairview, Montana, everyone is left wondering, who will be next? The disappearance of Ethan Carter continued to baffle authorities. Weeks passed with no sign of him, no ransom demand, no body. The town of Fairview, once quiet and trusting, was now gripped by unease. Doors were locked. Strangers were watched. And then, just when it seemed like the case had gone cold, another clue surfaced. A local fisherman, Daniel Harper, came forward with a disturbing revelation. I was out by Hollow Creek the night Ethan disappeared. Just before midnight, I heard something, like a motor idling. I looked across the water and saw headlights in the woods. But what really got me was the sound. A steady clack, clack, clack. Typewriter. In the dead of night, authorities searched the area Harper described. Hidden deep in the forest, barely visible from the road, they found it. An abandoned hunting cabin. Inside, dust covered every surface, except for the wooden desk in the center of the room. On top of it sat a Smith Corona typewriter, the same model linked to both disappearances. And in the typewriter's roller, as if waiting to be read, was a freshly typed sheet of paper. You're getting closer, but so am I. No fingerprints, no footprints. Whoever left it had vanished without a trace. Detective Renshaw ordered a forensic sweep of the cabin. While searching the premises, an officer uncovered an old cassette recorder, its battery long dead. When revived and played, what they heard sent shivers down their spines. A man's voice, trembling, whispering frantically, "If you're hearing this, it's too late. They know I know." The typewriter, it's not just a machine. It's a message, a warning. And now it's a trap. Then a loud crash, a struggle, a guttural scream, and silence. Detectives traced the tape's origin. It had been recorded on October 9th, 1975, 3 days before Gregory Whitman disappeared. The discovery shattered any remaining hope that Ethan had staged his own disappearance. Someone or something had been orchestrating this for decades. The next day, Claire Carter received an unmarked envelope at her doorstep. Inside was a black and white photograph. It showed two men, sitting across from each other at a table. One was Ethan, the other, Gregory Whitman. The problem? The photograph was dated 1974. How was Ethan in a photo that existed before he was born? Just as detectives tried to make sense of the photograph, another message appeared. This time, it was found inside the police station, left on Detective Renshaw's desk. It read, "You're asking the wrong questions. It's not about how they disappeared. It's about why." The handwriting was different. It wasn't typed. It was scrawled hastily in ink. And at the bottom, an ominous signature, Ethan Carter. But Ethan had been missing for over a month. He was gone. Who left the note? Detective Renshaw stared at the note on his desk, his hands trembling slightly. The ink was fresh, the signature unmistakable. But Ethan Carter had been missing for weeks. He called in forensic specialists who confirmed what he already feared. The ink was barely hours old. Someone had written it inside the police station without being seen. Then came the most unsettling discovery yet. When cross-referencing handwriting samples, the results were chilling. The handwriting on the note was an exact match to Gregory Whitman's. Gregory Whitman had been missing for 48 years. That same night, an anonymous tip led authorities to a rundown motel on the outskirts of Fairview. The caller claimed someone had checked in under the name Ethan Carter. Detectives arrived within minutes. Room SX's door was slightly ajar, the TV buzzing with static. The bed was unmade, and a cup of coffee still steamed on the nightstand. Whoever had been there had left moments before. But there was one person still inside. A frail, elderly man sat in the corner, his hands clasped in his lap. His eyes, dark and sunken, locked onto Detective Renshaw. "You don't have much time," the man whispered. He's already here. Renshaw crouched beside him. Who? Who's here? The man's lip trembled. The one who writes the endings. Before Renshaw could ask another question, the motel's lights flickered violently. When the officers turned back, the old man was gone. Back at the station, security footage from the motel parking lot was pulled. The timestamp confirmed it. Just minutes before Renshaw and his team arrived, someone had left room 6. A figure in a long coat and dark hat. The footage showed the figure walking toward the main road. But then, something impossible happened. At precisely 3:33 a.m., the figure flickered. For less than a second, its image glitched, distorting into a static blur before vanishing into the darkness. Determined to uncover more, Renshaw returned to the hunting cabin. The typewriter still sat on the desk, untouched since their last visit. But this time something was different. A fresh sheet of paper was in the roller. Renshaw hesitated, then pulled it free. The ink was still drying. The words were simple, but their meaning sent ice through his veins. You're running out of pages. The words blurred in front of him as if they were shifting on the page. The walls of the cabin seemed to close in. The air grew thick, and in that suffocating silence, a single keystroke echoed through the room. Clack, clack. Detective Renshaw turned slowly, his breath caught in his throat. The typewriter was typing, by itself, and as the final letter struck the page, the message became clear. Look behind you. To be continued. Follow for part 2 because the truth is about to be exposed.